called, I want to talk about something today that I've been dealing with for years, really my whole life. And it's called, the actual diagnostic term in the DSM is called reactive attachment disorder. But to me, it's really severe abandonment and neglect issues. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD as well, amongst other things. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I see a lot of videos that talk about abandonment issues, and I don't really think that people give a fair explanation as to how they feel. They either talk about it from a clinical, professional opinion, or the knowledge that comes from the book, or they talk about it from a place of like a surface level. I think a lot of things are talked about on the surface level because I don't think people really want to be that honest. And I think that people want to keep a certain facade or something of who they really are. And that's not me. So I look the way I look right now, which is kind of sad if people do know me, because I was pretty upset and I was crying. I was crying because these issues come up in my life and I don't really know how to get rid of them quite yet. I do a lot of self-work. I do a lot of self-work, and that involves reflection. That involves analyzing myself, being honest with myself, having just like thinking a lot about things that may seem uncomfortable. Shadow work, basically. So I'll just start by telling her, where this stuff for me comes from. For me, when I was born, I wasn't wanted. I wasn't wanted even when I was conceived. So aside from being born and then not having an attachment to anybody, I was conceived not being wanted. I was conceived and, as they say, marinating in the feelings of not being wanted. So, of course, if you know anything about the development of fetuses and how they feel what the mother feels, I'm pretty sure I felt what mine felt, which were very strong emotions. No offense towards her. That was 31 years ago. But clearly it still affects me. So after I was born, from where I was told I was not wanted, and it was made known. It was very clear in actions, in words, in attitudes. And from there, I was given to foster care. And then from my understanding, I was in foster care until I was about 2. After that, my grandmother fought to get me out of foster care. And I was moved in with her. But then I was given back to my mother, who gave me back to my grandmother. But in between all those things, there was physical abuse. There was emotional neglect. I don't remember anything that much, but I remember the feelings. When I got back with my grandmother, I think that my grandmother did the best that she could do. I think that everybody around me initially felt really bad for me because I was the child that was not wanted, and it was very, very clear. Why does this bother me today? Because it wasn't just the initial conception of not being unwanted. It wasn't just at birth not being wanted and giving up. But it was because, from birth to 5 years old, that's a crucial time period for a child in their development. And mine was all over the place. So I didn't get attached to anybody. And because of that, that's how I developed the reactive attachment disorder. No connection, no solid connection with anybody. And that is how I live today, really. I have a connection to some people, but with those connections to some people, there are a lot of doubts, there are a lot of fears, there are a lot of abandonment thoughts and issues. There are a lot of, am I worthy? Do you really love me? Do you really like me? And then I was also made to believe things like I'm a burden on people. People don't care about me. I mean, it wasn't just made to believe, it was pretty much said. Then there was when I was molested by my uncle, my great uncle-in-law. And I had to go up against my entire family. And going up against my entire family, I thought at the time that it was just me that was being abused. I didn't know that it was several other people. So when I thought that something was going to happen. I thought that I was going to be believed. I thought that, I don't know what I thought. I just didn't think that what happened was going to happen. And what happened was, amongst a lot of other things, I'll just talk about these few things that happened. When I told, I was banned from family members' houses. Mind you, I was a teenager. I was 16 when I told. It was happening since I was 8. But I told when I was 16. 2 days after my 16th birthday. And if you could imagine being 16, already having the feelings and struggling with a lot of other things. I used to have panic attacks at night. As you can see, I rock now. I used to have to sit up all night and rock because I couldn't breathe. Because the things that happened to me caused me to be in a hyper awareness state, or I was always anxious on the inside and I didn't want to talk. So I had anxiety attacks, I had panic attacks. The panic attacks were the worst because I thought I had asthma, which I do, but I wasn't diagnosed with asthma until I was 13. I remember having the panic attacks for a long time, for years. And when I had the panic attacks, they would happen mostly at night. And I would get in trouble because I would go and tell my grandmother that I couldn't breathe. And she would tell me to go lay back down. But I couldn't lay down because I was panicking. And if anybody's ever had an asthma attack, if you don't know what a panic attack feels like, it's like you're having an asthma attack. It's like something all right here is causing you to not be able to breathe and take deep breaths. Nothing will cause them initially. They would just really just come. I wouldn't be thinking about anything. They would just come. And it was like the monster in the middle of the night for me. It would just pop up. And so what I started to do was sit at the kitchen table with my pillow, like I'm sitting right now with my pillow. It's just down here. But I used to sit with my pillow like this, and I used to rock like this all night, or a couple hours until it would go away. And I used to talk to myself and tell myself that I was going to be okay. Because nobody else ever assured me that I was ever going to be okay. So I had to tell myself. I would have chest pains. I would have thoughts of like, why am I here? Alive. Go watch TV. Go. Just a lot of different things. Okay, go use the bathroom. Use the bathroom. Okay. So I would really struggle at night, and I wouldn't get any help. I would get told to go lay back down. I was over exaggerating, or it was always something, but it was never you're okay, or come sit with me, or it was never. It was just always go lay back down. So having these issues, eventually I grew out of them. But what I noticed is that when I talk about these issues that are very traumatic, I start to have a panic attack where it's like I'm talking, but if I try to take a deep breath, then I wouldn't be able to breathe. And then the panic attack. Jada, go watch TV. Okay, go. So, okay, go watch Minnie Mouse. So, when I was 16 and I told on my uncle, I went through 7 years, and I don't think I would actually be able to explain the severity of how bad it was for someone or for a whole family to basically ostracize you, write you off, call you crazy, and basically make you feel like you are the liar, even though, come to find out, this happened to about 6 or 7 people before me. So I tell, thinking I'm the only person, and then I find out that it's more than 5 people in my family that have also been molested by this person. But yet, everybody's keeping it a secret and calling me crazy. If you cannot sit and imagine what that would do to a person's psyche, their soul, their mind, I remember finding out that this happened to other people the very first time I found out. And it caused so much anger in me because for a few months I had been called crazy. I had been called, well, I was always called crazy, but it got worse. I was called a troublemaker. You can't come over here. You can't come over there. My grandmother started doing things for me as far as buying my clothes, toiletries, taking me to the doctor. So I started to run away. Then I got into dancing for money because I couldn't get anything that I needed. And because I've had other experiences with being sexually abused, some of those people that would sexually harass me would start to tell me things like, you can dance for money, or you can do this, or you can do that. Tried to pimp me, basically. Family friends, people who should be ashamed of themselves. I didn't listen to them as far as what they wanted me to do with them, but I had a friend that she was doing it, and she saw what I was going through, and she introduced me to dancing. I did that 1 or 2 times. It did not end well because one party, this man tried to take me to one of these rooms and rape me, so I was done with that. Something similar happened where I was set up and I was done with that. When my family ganged up on me the way that they did, including the people who it happened to, not all of them, but the majority of them, it made me feel like I was really, really crazy. Because if I know what happened to me, and you all know what happened to you, I don't understand how I'm the one that's crazy, because I'm telling. So it just really confused me, because I thought that that was the right thing to do. Where does the abandonment come in at here? Because I didn't stop telling. I didn't tell once, I didn't tell twice, I didn't tell 3 times. I told so many times that the police, when I would call them or go, they know who I was. That's how many times I told. But because my family, mostly my grandmother and her sisters, but my grandmother, because of who she was, she would tell them that I was crazy. And because I had these issues from birth of being rejected, neglected, and abandoned, and given up, I had issues, which any child will have. It's just like being in foster care, which I was in, but your whole life until you're 18 or 16 or whatever, and you have trust issues, and you are weird because you don't trust people, and because you don't talk, and because you don't let people, because you don't trust people, and then because you want attention, but then at the same time, you don't want anybody touching you. Like, just wanting to be alone. So then I was called antisocial. I was not understood by anybody, but at the same time, all of these people knew what happened to me. They knew what happened to me even when I didn't know what happened to me, and didn't even understand why I was the way that I was. Nobody ever explained to me that I had the issues that I had because I was severely neglected, abandoned, and rejected. I'm only telling this lightly because I don't want to offend anybody who may see this in my family, even though people will probably wonder why would I care. Because for some reason, I still care about people's feelings. But it was not as easy and it was not as nice as I'm putting it. So I'm just going to say that. When I told on my uncle and continued to tell, and then I found out that all these people had been raped and molested by him as well. I'm going to be specific. Rape is not something that only happens if a man puts his penis into your vagina or your anus. Rape is any object, including a finger. So, my uncle was actually putting his fingers, not one or two, in me from the time that I was 8 years old. So, it makes me upset when people say things to me like, well, at least he didn't rape you. They say things like that because other people who were abused by him were raped with him putting his penis into their vaginas or their anuses. But for some reason, people find it a little comforting, just a little bit more comforting that he didn't put his penis in me. But yet he probably put more than 3 fingers in me when I was 8. And I do remember that. I had problems with sex up until recently. And I'm 31. I just don't understand life. Sometimes I don't understand why I'm here. Because the abandonment issues are so... It's almost like when you think about abuse, you think about physical, the body, sexual, the genitalia. Mentally, that's the mind. But the mind is synonymous to the soul, which is the psyche, which is the inner you, it's in here. But it can affect here. I came to the realization a few months ago. I think it was a few months ago, that I don't have sexual trauma and physical trauma only, but that I have a broken soul. I don't see many people, aside from the spiritual world, people who are into spirituality. I don't see many people talk about soul wounds. I hear them talk about soul ties, but not soul wounds. I was born with a fractured soul. And then it continued to be broken until it was shattered into pieces. And I've done a lot of self-work. I've done a lot of self-reflection. And the pieces of my soul that are left, the pieces of my soul that I've put together with the help of my great therapists, 2 of them. I managed to become what you see today. Obviously, I have issues. Who wouldn't? They could have been worse. But I think that I'm only saying that on this live because you don't know how bad they are. I'm not an external combustion type of person. I'm an internal combustion type of person. Which, now I do lash out a lot. Well, I used to a lot. Not really that much now. But when I do, it's big. Because I have a lot of rage. I have a lot of anger. I have a lot of, I don't know why. And everybody who did these things to me are still around me, and they walk around looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And people say things to me like, you shouldn't give them your power. But I'm going to tell you something about giving people your power. When somebody robs you and you are not equipped, either because of age or because you don't have the right weaponry or because physically you may be disabled or something causes you to not be able, and somebody comes up to you and robs you, did you give them your money? I don't think you did. When somebody comes up to a child and they see the child has $1 and they take it from the child and the child gets upset, did the child give them the money? It's the same thing with power. I didn't give anybody my power, so I don't want to hear that. My power, my life force, was, and I believe still is, being sucked from these people. Sucked from me by these people. And I'm going to read what a definition of the word mind is, because I love words. It says that the mind is the immaterial, the part of, It says the mind is the part of an individual that feels, perceives, thinks, wills, and especially reasons. So, if the mind is synonymous with the soul, and the soul is the part, the mind is the part of an individual that feels, perceives, thinks, wills, and reasons. I think it would be safe to say that when it comes to me giving my power away or somebody taking my power, okay, go ahead. Here. When it comes to somebody taking my power, that's not how it went. And I hate when people say that to me. She just made me lose my train of thought. But anyway, she really just made me lose my thought. But you don't give people your power. That's what I was going to talk about. The will to live is something that I struggle with. years ago. I struggled with the will to live. And I'm not even living. I'm not thriving. I'm just really surviving at this point. And I'm trying to get to a point where I can thrive. You have to get out. You cannot do that. So my willpower was taken from me because the will comes from the mind, and the mind is synonymous with the soul. The soul is the psyche, and the soul, I believe, is or has something to do, some connection to the life force energy. Excuse me. Excuse me. Go ahead. Go. Jay, stop playing with me and go. So, anyway, I'm going to end this in a minute. You can just put this phone on silent. But what I'm trying to say is abandonment issues are really hard. I have them. And I'm trying to learn to get through them. Or I'm trying to learn how to heal from them, but I don't really know how. Because trying to love and trying to be in relationships. Why didn't you go to the bathroom? Brings up a lot of these issues of abandonment. Go out there. Things like that bother me. You know, I'm just tired of a lot of things. My issues of abandonment make me feel like I don't matter to people. Like, I'm not even going to say all that. But what I will say is, if you deal with these issues, what are some things that you've done, or things that you do? I'm not even really sure I want to know that. Because a lot of things that people do, they think are healthy, and they're not. They avoid the issues. I don't like to avoid mine. I like to deal with mine. These issues are real, and I want to bring attention to them. So if nothing else, if there's no other purpose of this video, it will be to start a conversation. It will be to maybe bring awareness to some things that maybe you feel on the inside. It will be to bring attention to things that maybe looked at you and wondered why you act the way you do, and now you know why, because you watched this video. There's a lot more that I can say, but clearly my daughter has an agenda to interrupt me. I'm just being funny. But today's just not a good day for me. And people will probably wonder, why didn't you call me, or why didn't you say anything? There's no point, because I feel like this every day. It's just that today I felt like being more open on my YouTube channel as well as on Instagram and wherever else I choose to share it. Because I think it's time out for us, when it comes to hiding our emotions, hiding what we've been through, because I may have been through something that can help someone else. I'm not at all a person who is easily defeated. It may like that, but not. Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here. I still wouldn't be alive. I'm a very strong person, but I have my moments, and I allow myself to feel them so that I can gain something from them, because that's how I get the pieces of my shattered soul back, one piece of the puzzle at a time, one piece of my soul at a time. I don't deny my feelings. I don't invalidate myself, because people have done that too much, and they still do it. Oh, I don't feel like that. Oh, you shouldn't feel that. Oh, no. No, I'm not that kind of person. If I feel it, I'm going to deal with it, and I'm going to figure out where the root